I was just watching a Pee Wee Herman doc.
I was watching it too. We were watching it last night. It was amazing. I had no idea he was so involved in the whole thing and how, it's hard.
No, well, look, if you want to really do something, and I've done some of this stuff, you're not going to just take a role in the passenger seat of this van. You're going to be driving it. If it's your character, if it's your process, it's your dream and your creation, and all you're going to be doing is talking to people going, not what I have in mind, that he wouldn't say this, I don't want to do that. And then you're going to have a lot of people at executive levels trying to talk you out of stuff that's yours, and you sort of know it on an instinctual level, but you can't really prove it. You just feel it. You kind of know it because it's your world and you've built it.
You have to be so strong. You have to be so strong as an artist. And as artists, we are, we have foundational cracks in us. That's why we do what we do for a living somehow. But to know that this is the right way, that he said, Gary Panter, the guy that designed all of that Pee-wee's Playhouse, it's like they'd never seen that before in children's television.
Well, what they'll do is they'll get you, the studio or whoever's cutting the checks will go, we've contacted the 3 guys that did Soupy Sales Show, and the other guy did Wonderama, and then whatever, and then you go,
choose between these 3.
I want this drug addict over here who does punk rock album covers,
I couldn't believe that. Didn't that blow your mind? I had no idea about that history.
But that's how you get that.
Yeah.
You can't get that with standard form people. You're just going to get a standard kids playhouse looking thing. So that was interesting.
Yeah.
Then the whole part, I forgot about the part. Everyone remembers the Florida theater part. Although they were unclear. I like to drill down on the details. He was gay, and he liked gay erotica, but probably more in a kitschy way than a sexual way.
I didn't get to this part of the documentary yet.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I know this. I know the story.
Part 2.
Yeah. No, I'm in the middle of part 2 right now.
Oh, we haven't got. You're right on the edge of the porn.
I'm right at where, so Tim Burton, I didn't realize Tim Burton directed the first film. Holy cow.
I know, it's
perfect. And then he directed the second one, and it failed miserably.
No, he didn't direct the second one.
Oh, yes, Randall Kleiser. Sorry, Randall Kleiser.
You have a good memory for names.
No, because I know Randall. I love him. He's got a beautiful house on the North Shore of Hawaii. That I'm like, I wish I could have Hawaii.
It's not Hawaii.
I'm dumbing it down for you white people here.
So
you Alaskans.
He was gay, and also he's kitschy, and then kitschy and gay is it's its own kind of thing. And so he collected like kitschy gay erotica, like from the 50s and the 60s.
Oh.
And later on, you're going to find out that comes into play.
Oh.
As well.
Well, I think it was he was conflicted within himself. From the beginning, I'm like, he painted himself into a corner.
Right.
He created this children's show where he couldn't come out and be who he is, and he seemed conflicted about it. Saying he could pass, which is speak for like you can pass as a straight guy, and he didn't have to pass as a straight guy, but his art took him to a place where you're in a children's show and it becomes forbidden to be who you are. And so it's going to, he blew a gasket and it came out,
Well, but here's the question, and they never addressed it in the doc, and it's never really been addressed. And it would, for me, if I'm trying to figure this case out, I would need this piece of information. And he's kind of, Pee Wee Herman is like John Waters, like gay and kitschy.
Very fascinating character.
So he goes back to his parents' place in Florida. He's like staying with his parents, and he goes into a porn, erotica film, theater or something, right? And then allegedly he was masturbating, he was manipulating himself in this theater. I don't know who you're going to offend in that Dade County porn theater at noon on a Wednesday, but okay.
Leave the guy alone.
And I don't know why we need to take resources like undercover cops and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But here's what they never address. He's gay. So is he in just a porn theater looking at male and female erotica? Or is he in a gay porn theater.
They didn't say it in the doc?
They never say what it is, and
He probably didn't want them to talk about it. He seemed like he was very in control of even the documentarian.
Well, he's in control of the documentarian, but he's not in control of the media when he gets busted. This is everywhere all the time.
Unless Dade didn't want it known that they have gay porn theaters. Dade being what Dade is.
The media went ballistic because all they would do is show a picture of him as Pee Wee Herman and then split screen into him with his mugshot. And his mugshot, he had a goatee and hair down to his shoulders and looked like a deviant. And it was a perfect A and B for the media to dine on. They went nuts with this thing.
Yeah.
So my question is can we find out? Because
what kind of theater it was?
Well, here's what I'm saying. If I'm Pee Wee Herman, because the whole thing, it's not illegal to go into the theater. It's illegal to
expose yourself.
My argument is if I'm in a theater with straight sex going on, I go, I'm gay. I was just getting in some air conditioning. Now it was hot outside. I was trying to take a load off. I'm gay. Well, why would I masturbate to this heterosexual couple having sex up here?
I think he might have been caught, not red-handed, but...
Well, they said it. But then later on, somebody informed the LAPD that he had underage, pornography at his home, and they raided his home in Hollywood.
Did they actually find anything?
No, what he had was all this old 50s kitschy erotica
What's
stuff.
Sort of like that Betty Page, with topless with the haircut and
Barney Page, but
out.
It wasn't Betty. He wasn't interested in Betty. He wanted Barney.
For instance, so that South Trail Cinema.
Oh yeah,
in Sarasota.
Oh man, they got one of the best club sandwiches out there.
Adult theater catering. Primarily, I thought they said that they had catering. It caters primarily to Sarasota. You could have a party there and cater to Sarasota's elderly audience.
So, is it gay or is it straight, or do they have a couple of sections?
Then we'd have to go deeper and find out what was playing on the day that he was there. I'm sure somebody's got that information somewhere.
Also, this was a time when people had VHS recorders. Like, it seems weird to leave
go to
the
a theater.
house. You know what I mean?
Again, the social community, being with like-minded people that you can share the experience with, and it's less lonely in the world.
Yeah, it takes a village to beat off.
It takes a village, people, I guess. So I was curious, and then I felt sorry for him later on. I felt bad for him the whole time, but then when they raided his house and child, which is about the worst thing you can ever say about anybody.
Yeah.
None of it was true.
None of it was true. Yeah.
Right, but it doesn't matter. All right. So, you got to watch the rest of it because it's interesting.
Yeah. I had to turn it off because I was too tired. I knew I had to come here today.
And also, every story, or maybe it's just the ones they do the docs about, I feel like they all just have to end up sad. You know what I mean? Like, they always do that thing where it's like,
it's
after
to make you
the
empathize with... when they say he died like days later, that was pretty shocking, though, that he was doing this and he's talking. He looked totally healthy. It looked like there was nothing wrong with him, but he died days later. That's trippy.
Yes, I know. Look, first off, everyone always dies at the end, so maybe it is sad. And it's just like, and you don't die falling off a Pegasus that you're riding into the clouds. You get cancer, and then he was a shell of himself, and he died, and it was sad to see that
Hantavirus.
That's how it goes. So that's how it goes. But he had an interesting ass life.
Yeah, I had no idea he was such an artist, and I studied with that same Gary Austin at the Groundlings. I had done like one of his sessions of improv, and I had no idea that was Paul Rubens' past. And all these, and Phil Hartman. Phil Hartman was his partner on the show. I didn't know that.
I sort of knew that, and I don't know if you got to the part where they talked to Phil Hartman.
So after he left as Captain Jack or whatever, not Captain.
There's a clip. You can find a clip of Phil Hartman. I think he was talking to Howard Stern, and And, Phil kind of brought up a decent point, which is like, I can paraphrase, but Phil went to SNL.
Right.
And Pee Wee went on to
making his movies.
Yeah, but we're talking about lunch pails and dolls and merch, and we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar empire.
It rivals Stitch merchandise.
Yeah, we're talking about an empire, right? So let's just say you're the dude, and you're at the Groundlings, and it's in the late 70s or early 80s or whatever, and that's just your buddy, and you're just kind of knocking around, and you're sitting there smoking pot, drinking coffee after taking Cynthia Seghetti's improv class, and you're just knocking it around, like we should do a live Pee Wee show, and you go, all right, I'll do Captain whoever, and then we should have a genie or something like that, and he's like going, okay, that's good.
Yeah,
that's
you
good.
think it would be partnership,
and
like co-produced
you
by.
develop this whole thing, but nobody, everyone kind of goes, well, why don't you get a lawyer to buy? And it's like, they're artists, they're high on pot, everyone's poor, no one's even thinking about
They did a lot of drugs apparently, and that's
what this could turn into.
Yeah.
But at some point, it turns into something, and the person that's hammering all the checks never says to the person that co-created essentially the show, like, I'm going to break you off 10% for
so he never gave Phil Hartman, or who's the other guy, the third guy, the genie guy, he never gave them a part of that?
According to Phil Hartman, no.
Wow.
No reaching out. Now, I get it. It's murky a little bit, sometimes a little gray area. Like Pee Wee Herman created the character, or Paul Rubens created the character. It was his idea. It was blah blah blah, and so I would say to Paul, I would go, well, I don't say a 50-50 split, but for those who are there,
give them 10%,
who are helping to bang some of the stuff out and develop the stuff with you, maybe a 5% or 10%, or maybe not even in perpetuity, maybe for the next 10 years check. Or whatever. Check. Yeah,
that would have been a nice thing
symbolic,
to do. So that's why they didn't talk. I thought, that's interesting. The way he said it, I thought he was saying that Phil Hartman went to SNL, became a big star, and that's why he didn't talk to me anymore. Our relationship was over. I didn't know it was because of that financial piece.
I have found that everyone gives you their version of the story. They never really give you that. No one ever goes, Phil worked really hard on this show with me, and now he's pissed because I didn't give him anything. That's not the way anyone says anything.
Adam, how's it going? You rule. Later.
You can leave us a message at 888-634-1744.
Yeah, Adam Yenzer's in studio. Adam's got dates. He's got his dry bar special, which is very good. He's got an Emmy Award writing for Ellen all those years, and doing stand-up everywhere. Got a YouTube show, The Canceled News.
Yep.
Now he has the news. What do you got?
Well, speaking of Emmy Awards, Bill Maher is the news. Bill Maher says he'll never win an Emmy because of woke Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Liberal comedian Bill Maher took a swipe at his woke peers in Hollywood who refused to give him trophies at awards shows.
Well, I think I will say this. As a guy who's worked in late night and written for late night and sort of watched everything, Bill is quite consistently good and sort of gets over the target a lot. Like whatever side of the aisle you're on, you can watch one of his clips from New Rules or something and you go, yeah, that guy's bringing it.
He's not beholden to one side or the other. He says his mind.
Yeah, and he does a nice job. And the fact that he's been doing it for 30 years, basically, he's never going to win an Emmy, which is such a weird. I don't know what they know. Like, I don't know how much of this is intentional and how much of it is just reflexive or something. But it's like, at a certain point, okay, let's just put it to you. I'll put it to you this way. Jon Stewart ostensibly does the same thing Bill Maher does.
Mm-hmm.
They're older middle-aged comedians who have been knocking around for years and years and years. They're both skilled stand-ups. They both have a strong sort of like editorial mind, and they both essentially do the same thing. It's just that Jon Stewart attacks the right, and Bill Maher sort of attacks everyone, which means he's gotten off the reservation if you're on the left. You can look it up, but I would go ahead and assume that Jon Stewart has 151 Emmys.
Oh, he's a lot, yeah.
And he's got 0. Bill Maher's got 0. So if you're trying to explain this phenomenon to somebody, it'd have to be the politics.
Yeah, and it also seems the odds don't add up, because here's his quote. He said, "Sweetheart, I've been nominated for 33 Emmys, and they would never give it to me. That's not a gag number. That's a real number. It's crazy." So they sort of pay lip service to nominating him.
Yes.
But you get 33 nominations for all the years he's been on Late Night and never get a win.
Jon Stewart has won 23. And I don't know what he's probably 23 out of 34 or something like that, but Bill Maher's 0 for 33. What was that soapbox actress, Christina Ricci or whatever her name was? Or whatever.
The one who said, "You really like me"?
No, well, sort of. She was
Susan Lucci.
Susan Lucci.
Susan
Lucci got nominated like 21 times for "That's My Life" or something, and then never won, and then won or whatever.
Now, did she attack the right on her soap operas?
Bill Maher has won once out of a total of 41. Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he won for, he's had dozens of Emmy nominations for Real Time and his previous late night show Politically Incorrect, as well as his various stand-up specials. He did win an Emmy as executive producer of HBO's documentary series Vice.
Oh,
so he was like a producer.
That's not a win.
That's like how I cheated my way in with Ellen. It's like I was writing for her, so when the show wins, then I get one. But they're daytime Emmys.
Yeah, all right. So that's not him winning once.
Yeah.
That's if you're a producer on a show, blah, 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 whatever. So look, Bill is very skilled and Jon Stewart is very skilled, but Jon Stewart stays very consistently against the right and against the Republicans, and Bill says stuff that angers the left.
Yeah,
because it's truthful, and they don't like that, men being women and women and men and that kind of stuff. So he gets screwed, and that's why. And she'll never win one because he'll run. But listen, I have always known this. I've done a bunch of high quality documentaries and never gotten into Sundance. So they told me, they pretty much just went, that guy's a douche. Like, I don't like that.
That's what your rejection letter says. It's like what I get. It says, "Sorry, we reviewed your submission."
Let's put it. I'll put it to you this way: if you take the average Rotten Tomatoes score of a comedy that gets into Sundance, it's in the low 50s. Yeah. I submitted something that would have been in the 80s and 90s with the people, and the report back was the guy wasn't a fan, which is code for Adam's a douchebag, and we don't want him crashing our party. So whatever doc I made or whatever feature I made would get submitted to Sundance and then rejected, and then you go look at the average score on Sundance, and stuff's in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s, and my stuff's in the 80s and 90s, but it shall not be brought in. That's the business.
It's always a thing on Rotten Tomatoes where the audience score is like in the 90s, and the critics is low, and then it's vice versa depending on the...
Right. Now, this movie, The Hammer, that I made predated the sort of fiddling with the critics. So this one was, I don't know, 81 or 82 with the critics and like 90 or 92 with the thing. That's back when you could do that. Now, if I made a movie, it would be 12 with the critics and 95 with the people, because they don't go for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's right, and all it does is ruin your franchise. It ruins Emmys or Golden Globes, Oscars. Everyone just kind of goes, all right, what's the thing where they hated Trump the most? Okay, give it to them. You know what I mean? Like this stupid, what film I had it written in front of me? One thing, one bad thing after another. It's a crappy film. It's well shot, but it's not It's not good. It's a fever dream for leftists. It's comical. It's insane. And Sean Penn's character is comically nuts, and the whole thing's a mess. But it's going to win because it's like tough, proud women of color standing up to blah 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 white guys. Like it's a joke. It's not a well-written movie. It's not a well-written movie. DiCaprio's good, and the soundtrack's good, and it's shot well, but one battle after another is going to win everything because it's got the right theme. And when you do that, you hurt your franchise.
Yeah. It already won at the Golden Globes, I think. And it feels like all of these award shows are losing relevance because of that. Because mainstream America, they're not seeing the movies that they appreciate win.
Well, the thing that I always say is mainstream America wants a meritocracy. It's got the word America right in it. And you guys, nobody touches the Super Bowl. And there's no questions. It's like, I don't know, we got the playoffs coming up. We're in the playoffs. This team has a white quarterback. That team has a black quarterback. But we just assume that's the best they could do. Not that they're trying to do some sort of EEOC affirmative action job. So it's all meritocracy. And look, you could have a Super Bowl where the whole defensive side of the ball was black. And we just go, good.
Yeah.
Because I want them to win. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Well, when you start handing out best Oscar for best film to like Moonlight and stuff, like semi-crappy movies that nobody wants to see. And by the way, don't take my word for it. They never show up on cable. No one ever watches them again.
You didn't watch Moonlight after your Super Bowl party?
I watched it during the Super Bowl. Sorry. No, they have, when a film typically wins Best Picture, on the waterfront or Gone with the Wind or something, or Wizard of Oz. They have a life beyond that date, right?
Yep.
Moonlight got Best Picture. No one's ever said, "Oh, what are you doing?" I was going to watch Moonlight. Like, it doesn't exist. It's a kind of shitty, depressing film.
It's not the most rewatchable movie.
No. So yes, they fucked up their own franchise. Bill is right.
Yeah. Some sad news. Dilbert creator Scott Adams died at 68. President Donald Trump just paid tribute to Scott Adams, sharing a photo of them together in the Oval Office. He referred to the late cartoonist as a fantastic guy who supported him when it wasn't popular to do so. And Adams' first wife, ex-wife, Shelley, revealed the news during a live stream on Real Coffee with Scott Adams. So we have her comments here, reading a letter from him.
I had an amazing life. I gave it everything I had. If I got any benefits from my work, I'm asking that you pay it forward as best as you can. That's the legacy I want. Be useful. And please know, I loved you all to the very end. Scott Adams.
Scott was a good dude, and mainly he was thought provoking. He'd go, "Oh yeah, I hadn't thought about that." I wouldn't call us friends, but I really appreciated his work. Dr. Drew was a good friend. Him and Gutfeld actually went to go visit Scott a couple of weeks ago, and Scott, I guess, kind of knew was coming. For sure, had some steps in the right direction maybe 6 months ago, and then it just kind of fell off. But he's just a guy who was super logical and super pragmatic, and that's really, we are missing that. He didn't have any of that. Like, in my heart, I know, I feel like, I dream of a world where all children have world-class health. Okay, you dream of that world. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Go back.
It's very rational.
Yes, he very pragmatic, very smart, very interested in the human condition, thoughtful, interesting, and will be missed, because that's a guy whose voice we'll need. Like, we don't need Sofia Vergara.
We could get rid of some of the voices.
Well, I'm not saying die, but at least shut up for a minute. Just don't talk. You're not telling me anything.
Yeah.
But he had a voice.
Yes. And in his letter, this kind of speaks to his rational mindset that you were talking about. In the letter dated January 1st, 2026, he reveals he's still of sound mind and that he's converting to Christianity in his final days because of the risk-reward calculation. So he kind of talked about how the risk or reward of accepting Jesus or not on his deathbed before he passed.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, like I said, there are plenty of people I don't miss, but he will be missed.
He will, yeah. California news. California's voter ID law hits 1 million signatures as Elon Musk blasts the only reason to oppose it is to commit fraud.
I'm listening to the Supreme Court, and they're arguing over men participating in women's sports, and then there's another talk about voter ID, and I feel like we sort of argue over nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And we also argue over a bunch of sort of no duh or no shit kind of stuff. Like,
absolutely.
Look, I felt this way. I felt this way about many relationships I've been in. Like, I don't even know what we're arguing about. I'm trying to make sure this is good or help or stop this from happening. It's not like you caught me cheating. I'm trying to do something for you or whatever it is. And like, we're arguing about it, which I think is very sort of gyno-fascistic, which I'm now starting to really start thinking about. Like, everything in California's just all run by chick-think, and we just argue about everything. Listen, your ID. I mean, once in a while, somebody will do one of those insane memes where they go, here's what you need your ID for. And and it's 200,000 things, except for vote in California. Look, I think if we've established... Okay, let's see if we can break it down beyond politics. We have established you need your ID because things are important, or not important, but important, such as I just got back from doing shows in Denver. It's ID. If I'm... Mike and I are behind the counter in Burbank, and Aunt Esther's asking us for our ID to give us our boarding passes, and I don't say mind your own beeswax, bitch, because I will not get on that plane.
You didn't say this is racist. How would a black person have an ID right now?
Right. And then I said that. Then if I said to someone, I don't get it. Why do I have to show an ID? They go, because we need to know who you are, because it's important. And I'd go, okay. And when you buy beer and you're 23, they want to see your ID because they don't want to sell it to an underage thing. Whatever. And when you check into the hotel, it's more ID. And if you do any venue or anything. And the answer is sort of like, well, it's important. Now, you don't need an ID to walk onto the beach and lay down. But that's not really important, and you may not affect things or hurt anybody else. But I would argue that the same people are talking about how voting is the most important thing a citizen can do. Well, then, is it more important than getting on an airplane or buying a pack of cigarettes or checking into a hotel? And if it is, then why shouldn't we show our ID? Which is a weird thing, but I have a bigger, broader one, Adam. And I fucking mean it. And listen, fuck everyone with your voting bullshit. It is 2026. If you do not possess an ID, you do not participate in our system whatsoever. You are not participating. You're not paying taxes. You're not traveling. You're not doing anything. I don't even know how it is. You would say that you're a member of our society with no ID.
Yeah.
You can't do anything with no ID. So I don't even want you to vote because why are you making policy? I'm the one paying all the fucking taxes and you're the one with no fucking ID. So if you don't have an ID, you do not exist in this society. And the only possible reason you could want someone to vote without an ID is for election fraud.
Oh, yeah.
There's no other reason. And the fact that these guys can do it with a straight face is insane in 2026.
And it makes me more and more suspicious because I've always been somebody who's, I know that there is voter fraud and I think we should be doing everything to stop it. I was never like a big stop the steal person. But then it's the more and more that the Democrats push against. No, we don't want ID. No, it's like you're trying to... Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to have it insecure?
Remember, see, this is that thing. It's, now they can never say what they want, so they have to come up with some other bullshit excuse. So look at it this way, and then you tell me. Biden leaves the fucking border wide open. He commissions Kamala dumb shit Harris to be the border czar who won't go to the border. And there's tons of footage of throngs of people just streaming across it, right? They're going into Texas, okay? The governor of Texas says, you know what? If you're not going to fucking do anything at the border, I'm going to pile up shipping containers at the edge of the Rio Grande and try to prevent you from coming over. And the Biden administration sues them to take them down. So are they in?
No.
What do they want?
Yeah, it's
now they want. Well, you go. What do you want, Joe Biden? I want a secure border. Okay, why are you suing Texas to get them to pull the shipping containers out if you want security?
And having them remove barbed wire.
And remove barbed wire. They don't want. They don't want any of it. They want fucking borders. They want illegals, and they want them to vote. And if you would have said to me that 5 years ago, I would have went, "Oh, come on, get the hell out of here." I don't know what other conclusions we can draw anymore.
Well, here's the excuse they have. Stephen Richer, the former Maricopa County recorder in Arizona, who was in charge of voter registration, said he is concerned that vote-by-mail ID provisions. So in this provision, the main change would be you have to put the last 4 digits of your ID number in the mail-in ballot. And they say it could discourage some people from sending ballots because they'll be nervous about putting sensitive information in the mail.
Okay, well then don't vote, dumb shit. But you got to flash that ID every 10 feet in this society. All right, you don't want to know. You like mail-in ballots. You want election day to be a month. You love all the shit that corrupts elections.
Yeah. And
so why?
And it is like you were saying when you compared it to relationship fights, is you have to find a negative motive to assign to the other person. So everybody supports voter ID overwhelmingly. I think it's 80% of the country. It's even 53% of Democrats. But they have to say, no, you're doing this because you want to disenfranchise people.
Well,
you have to come up with a negative.
They play the racist card to get you to shut.
Yeah.
When they don't have any stats, statistics, or reason, then they play the race card to shut you up, which used to work. But it doesn't work. And by the way, they never tell us their plan for getting these disenfranchised black potential voters an ID. Just give me what's the plan then? They don't have IDs? Well, what are we doing here?
Well, they should have gotten to the root causes.
Get to the root causes. Yeah, get to the roots causes. Yeah.
In other California news, California has lost a mind-boggling $1 trillion in wealth in the past month alone over fears of a billionaire tax. California has lost $1 trillion over fears of this proposed billionaire tax, according to one of the state's wealthiest residents. The under-fire measure, which even leftist Gavin Newsom opposes, would slap a one-time 5% tax on residents worth more than $1 billion.
Well, obviously, there's a situation. Okay, if you go, we have a home and it's winter and the heating bill is through the roof. We need to do something about this heating bill. It's too expensive. And then I would say, well, every sliding glass door and window in this fucking house is wide open. Why don't you shut it? And then you'd go, shut up. We need a bigger furnace. And then I'd go, well, I'll tell you what. I think you could have a better furnace and close the windows. And then I go, why don't we close all these windows? And they go, we're going to go burn down a Tesla dealership. You keep talking that way. So my thing is there is a math where you just wring every penny out of everybody who pays taxes and you could keep up with your spending. But I'm arguing an approach where you stop spending so much and wasting so much and giving so much away in fraud.
Yeah.
And then you wouldn't have to go milk the guys that are already keeping the lights on by paying all the fucking taxes in your shitty state. So they have a mode that is never close the window mode. It's always what's going on with the furnace and why isn't the furnace paying its fair share? And I'm like, shut all the windows. I don't know. Look, it's real simple. You spend more money than comes in. Yeah. So there's two solutions. There's get more money, but these guys are already at about 50%. So I would argue that's already high. So why not shut a window, which they won't do because that's their constituents.
It's the very angry dad solution. It's close the windows and turn the lights off before you leave.
Yes, close the windows. They waste billions of dollars and they argue with it. I mean, 10 seconds ago, Doge just came around and just went like, hey, I think we're wasting too much money. And you guys all freaked out and started attacking them.
Well, do you also feel, I feel like, because this is the billionaire tax, there's a thing on the left whenever they want to come up with solutions with this problem. It's always everyone richer than me should pay more money.
Bernie Sanders.
And everyone lower than me.
Oh, yeah.
They should give it to them, but whatever I make is fine.
Bernie Sanders, for the first 81 years of his life, complained about millionaires.
Yes.
And then somebody tapped him on the shoulder and said, hey, old fuck, guess who else is a millionaire with 3 houses? And he went, what? And he went, you're a millionaire. And he went, fine, make it billions.
Yeah.
And so now he complains about billions. He switched 2 years ago from millions to billions because someone had to explain to him that he was a millionaire too. So yeah, it's real simple. But also dumb people don't go for this.
No, and it's a dumb strategy because the problem here that they're talking about in this article is that they plan to tax these billionaires, and now the billionaires are just leaving California. So we're losing revenue in all these businesses. The co-founder of Google, Larry Page, moved a lot of his businesses out.
I think here's what I haven't said this in a while, but young Adam with fresh ears will listen. Listen to me. Listen to me. Government people. You are in government mainly because you're stupid and can't run your own business. You are choosing not to be in the private sector because you would not do well in the private sector because you're not smart enough and you're not hardworking enough and you're not anything enough. So you've entered the government. Now you have a plan where you're going to play chess with people that are much smarter than you, who are private sector billionaires. And the reason that guy's a billionaire is not because he gives away his money to assholes to waste it. He's smarter than you are. So you come up with a plan and then he counters with another plan and you get checkmated. And that's all this ever is. They go, we're going to do a thing where we charge 5% or 10% and a house is over. And they go, all right, I'm going to sell my what's the cutoff? $7 million. I'm going to sell my house for $699.99, and then I'll save 5%. Then they'll kick back on whatever. They'll do what they have to do because you think about our government. I mean, you think about how you got to outwit Maxine Waters, everybody.
The bar is set very high.
The bar is set very high. You better be a master chess champion, a grand champion.
And you have to look at her just grimacing, frowning face staring at you.
Have you seen how dumb a lot of these fucking people are? And it's, Gloria Sanchez Escuela from the city council is going to out. You think Elon Musk is not going to be able to get one over
I don't even know if that was a real name or a made-up fake name. It sounded totally credible.
I made up a name. Whenever they have 3, this always makes them dumb. And she's the first Latina. And she's trying to argue with Elon, and Elon's going to pick it all up and move it to Texas.
Yep.
And you idiots are going to be left with nothing because they're in the business of making money. You're in the business of wasting money. So you're fine.
Yeah.
You always will have business. These people have to make these decisions. They have stockholders.
And Elon's the perfect example you're talking about where they're trying to outsmart people that are way smarter than them because they hate Elon now. And I see people on social media comment that they think he's unintelligent or they try to talk down on him and it's like he's built billions of different corporations.
Now we're getting into like major chick think where chick with her Chicano studies major from the junior college
like
goes,
Gloria Escuela. I think that's what she majored in.
What has Elon Musk ever done? Nothing.
Yeah.
Like, okay. He thinks he's smart. He's not smart. He's dumb. It's like, okay, all right, keep talking. Now you sound a little dumb. There was a woman, there really was a city councilwoman in San Diego that about 5 years ago, she was just like, fuck Elon Musk, get the hell out. Like, just leave. And he's like, all right, I'll take me and my 17,000 jobs.
He'll leave in a rocket and then catch it in Texas.
Catch it, yeah, right. And you invented a recipe for, I was going to say gazpacho, but ever since Tim Walsh said gazpacho instead of Gestapo, now I get confused. I got to find that clip. It's a great clip. It's San Diego councilwoman telling Elon to go fuck off, basically, is what it was. Yeah. The person who famously tweeted, "Fuck Elon Musk," is Lorena Gonzalez.
That's almost the name you just made up.
Escuela Sanchez, who at the time was a California State Assembly member, not a San Diego City Council woman. She resigned from the Assembly in January 2022 to lead the California Labor Federation. See, now we have dopes. We have someone who tells Elon Musk to fuck off running a labor organization. The tweet posted in 2020 was in response to Elon Musk's actions and comments regarding the closure of the Tesla Fremont factory. Right, so he's moving on. Oh, over COVID-19. Okay, so
It always comes back to
yeah, so she was a prominent San Diego area politician, later member of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors. She was a state-level official when she tweeted, "All right, so we got a bunch of dumb chicks fucking up everything, and we're gonna have to fix that."
Well, and Smart Chicksar gets this too. It says, of the billionaires that are leaving, In-N-Out heiress Lindsay Snyder has relocated to Tennessee and established a new In-N-Out corporate office there over this.
California,
measure. So they're
you
scaring
guys,
everybody away.
You chased out In-N-Out Burger.
Yes.
You chased out the original California 1940s. You chased out In-N-Out, which is gut check time for California. If you get In-N-Out Burger to leave, that means anyone will leave.
Do you think this will be the final straw? I always feel like, as a Californian, there's all these things that happen. First, it was the COVID lockdowns. Then it was like the homeless tent camps everywhere. Then it was the fires. Maybe it will be forcing In-N-Out to leave. Like, I always think, what is the last straw that Californians will finally be like, I'm not a Republican, but let's try something different.
They have a unique ability to kind of stay the course regardless of anything. I grew up with these people, so they're not in the business of ever admitting they're wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally, with a straight face, will go like, "Joe Biden was one of the best presidents this country's ever had. Meanwhile, Trump's got some kind of mental disorder." It's like, wow, you really ride this one out, can't you? So disappointers always, no. My saying is, disappointers never disappoint, meaning all the stupid idiots who make all the horrible decisions and do all the bad voting never learn from from anything that goes wrong. Now, will the people kind of swell up a little and sort of at a certain point go, "I live in the Palisades and, I vote Democrat, but I've been trying to get a permit for 6 years and I kind of like my permit, so I'm just going to vote for another guy"? There might be some of that. I think there will be. All right, Adam, good job.
Thank you.
By the way, with that news, very strong. I'm going to be in Oregon Friday and Saturday. Grants Pass at the Rogue Theater, and then off Saturday to Bend, Oregon at Midtown Ballroom. And then New York, Rodney's, that'll be the 29th. But lots of shows coming up in New York and D.C., and I think RFK Jr. is going to come out to Kennedy Center. Enjoy it. I don't know. Trump put his name in front of his family's name at the Kennedy Center. He called and wanted to come out. I don't know.
That's awesome.
That's funny. Adam, you got dates? Oh, yeah.
March 4th and 5th, I will be at Snappers in Fort Myers, Florida with Yakov Smirnoff.
Oh, we love Yakov. Yep. And Erica Rhodes. You can go to Punch Up Live. They have all her dates. Until next time, it's Adam for Erica. And Adam saying mahalo. It is the 1 year anniversary since I did my hotel room fireside chat about the fire.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so it got a lot of traction. I don't know why. I don't know how the internet works, what doesn't work. We were here. I was evacuated from Malibu. I was stayed at a cheap hotel in Burbank, California. The following day, we woke up. Remember, the fire did most of the destruction, or a lot of destruction, the second day when everyone was there, including the fire people and the mayor and everything, and no one fucking put the fire out. They were down on the ground eating breakfast burritos down in PCH. They weren't up in the Palisades fighting the fire. They let the Palisades burn down. But anyway, that was day number 2. So this is the morning of day number 2. Now I wake up. I can't go back to Malibu. I have no idea, by the way, what's going on in Malibu vis-a-vis my dwelling. I know a lot of people have lost their house. People are doing my least favorite thing in life. And I really mean it. It's my least favorite thing, which is you get on the phone with someone and they go, oh, your place is definitely gone. It's gone. It's gone. It's gone. And then you hang up and then it's like, oh, man. And everyone's upset. And then 45 minutes later, well, maybe it's still there. And then you go, well, why'd you tell me it was gone? And they go, well, I don't know. It's like, oh, then shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Just shut the fuck up. You don't know. Shut up. Why do you do that? Oh, God, chicks love doing that. And there's a lot of dudes who love doing that, too.
Yeah.
I think they're the same people. What do you think of this, Rudy, as a yardstick?
Sure.
To measure somebody?
Yes, 3 feet.
Let me measure 36 inches. Let me just say, I don't know why I just thought about this the other day, but I think there's 2 kinds of people. There's the people who I won't speak unless I know something. I'm not going to tell someone their house is burnt down and then an hour later go, I guess it's still there, and then go, well, why do you listen to me? I don't know why people do that. But the shit left in the toilet person. Let's see if we can break this down. A close cousin to the person who goes to your car and then sees the scratch or the ding in the fender and goes, what happened here? I hate those. I hate them. I hate them. What do you mean? What happened there? Something that's happened to everyone all the time. And then you make them relive their shit. Like, well, I went to the Home Depot and I backed into the slot because I always back into the slot. And there's this guy with this gardening truck. It was like F-150. It's too close. But anyway, that guy opened his door and he's illegal, so he didn't have any insurance. I just fuck it. You make them like relive this thing. Like it's like saying, "Hey man, what's going on? Hey, tell me a bad experience you've had at the dentist." Oh, yeah, I was getting a root canal for it. Oh, it was brutal. Like why yes, there's a dent in the car. There's a dent. Everyone has one.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an extravagant or exciting story. But how about this for the yardstick? There's 2 kinds of people. Husbands, wives, girlfriends, lovers, roommates.
Males,
females. The once in a blue moon, there's a shit in the toilet. And there's a shit in the toilet when you walk up, come back from work, come back from out of town, but there's a shit in the toilet. And what happened with the shit in the toilet? Well, what happened with the shit in the toilet is the person flushed the toilet and walked away, and then one popped back. We got a bobber, right?
Sure, yeah.
Right. Or something else happened in that they were on the commode, and I don't know, the teapot started whistling or something. So they wiped their ass and they hustled out of the room. It's usually some plumbing related something where you flush, but the toilet gurgled, but you walked out and turned the TV on, and then you went to bed, and then the next day, whoever comes home, and then there's a shit in the toilet. Who are the people that feel deputized and feel that it's necessary to find the other person in a house and explain that they found a shit in the toilet?
Yeah.
Because my world is, I'll flush the toilet and get on with my life. I don't need to go wake them up.
Sure.
And go, hey, did you know? No, they didn't know. And yes, shit happens. But what is that impulse to go find the person?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's humans at their worst. Go find this person and tell them what they did. Why? Obviously, it's a mistake. 80% plumbing related. Something, you flushed it, some went down, one popped up, but you're already walking out of the room by then. Who are the people who have to alert the people there was shit in the toilet?
Yeah, I also noticed that people leave the shit in the toilet because they get sort of hypnotized by their phones that they're staring at as they sit, and then they forget about it. But we had a moment like that recently where I was at a Christmas party and walked into the bathroom to take a leak, and then noticed that somebody had left a present in the toilet. And then I looked over and I saw my buddy's friend, his phone sitting. I was like, okay, I know what happened here. He got up, didn't think about it because he was staring at his phone. I walked quietly into the room where everybody was, and I go, hey, by the way, dude, next time, flush.
All right. Here's my point. If it's a frequent occurrence that's a thing. If it's once every 4 years, you don't have to seek out the person and wake them up or call them when they're in the middle of a meeting, explain there's a shit in the toilet.
Yeah.
All right. So,
but the reason why I bring it up is because he goes, well, I didn't do that. I got, no, you did. And he goes, how do you know? And then I pulled his phone out of my pocket and I went, because this was sitting right next to the toilet. And he went, sorry about that. I was like, that's why I said it quiet. We didn't need to call you out.
Smoking gun. And I love the denial.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm in the hotel room because it's the following morning. It's probably 9 in the morning. The fire rages all night, and then we're going in for day 2 of the fire. I cannot return to Malibu. I cannot do a podcast from this studio because the power is out. In 2025 and now 2026, last time I came here to do something, it had rained. And so the power's out. It's Los Angeles. It's 2026. Winds kick up, rains happen. Does the power need to go out when it rains? I get it if it's revenant times, whatever, but this is modern times. Can you get your fucking infrastructure together to the point where when the wind blows or the rain shuts in, my power doesn't shut off at my studio where I do my broadcast? So I was sitting in my hotel room and I had talked to a couple of my guys. The power's out, can't go in, can't do a podcast. We were very close to just sort of saying, well, run a best of, throw in the towel. Look, my condo's probably gone. The power's out. Maybe we don't owe everyone a podcast this morning. I've been evacuated. I think I can take this morning off. But at the last moment, I thought, you know what? Let's just give a little State of the Union and catch everyone up and let them know what's happening. So we sort of scrambled to grab a microphone and an a camera on a phone and move a few pieces of furniture, move the table, put the chair here, and I just sat there and delivered my chat. And this is while the fires are still going on, basically the following morning after they started, and I got about 3 or 4 minutes here. I'll play it, but we'll see how many of my predictions came true. Here's what's going to happen. The people who live in Malibu, who live in Santa Monica, who live in the Palisades, those are some of the most progressive blue voters in the world or in the United States. They are a bastion of blue. So what those guys did is all the people in the Palisades, I checked it out. It's about 80% blue, 80% progressive, 80% Democrat. Now, these pussies are all sitting around crying about Karen Bass, water pressure, how come the forest wasn't cleared of all the brush, what's happening with the infrastructure. You guys all voted for Karen Bass, the mayor of Los Angeles. You all voted for Gavin Newsom. And now you fucking get what you get. Oh, now that your house is on fire, well, now you're thinking about something else. Now you want to know what's going on. What's going on around here? You didn't give a shit about what was going on when other people's houses were on fire, but now you care. So here's what's going to happen. All these people who were deep blue Democrats are now going to have to pull a permit to rebuild. And they're going to get the 28-year-old bitch from the Coastal Commission telling them to go fuck off. And then they're going to vote for Trump or whoever's Trumpian next. You see, they're going to get turned. They're going to get turned hard because, as I've always said, live in the rent control apartment in Santa Monica, fine, good. We know how you vote. Go deal with the city. Try to pull a permit. These are going to be thousands of homes, super wealthy people, and these people don't want to live in Van Nuys. They like it where they are. They love Malibu. They love the Palisades. They love Santa Monica. There's going to be a whole bunch of rich people, and they're going to go, I'm rebuilding, and I want to rebuild as fast as I can. And between the part where they go in to the planning commission and plan check and initially and try to pull a permit to the time the first load of lumber, the first load of 2x4s is dropped off on their lot where their house formerly stood, it's going to be 3 years. And 1,000 permits and 1,000 arguments and 1,000 discussions with the Coastal Commission, not to mention little tidbits that they didn't think about, like Carson Daly. You want a swimming pool? Yep. Got to be double hulled. Really? Yeah. Well, why? Well, what if water leaches out and gets into the groundwater table? Carson Daly had to build a swimming pool like a modern day oil tanker. Had to be like a double hulled. That's all right. It'll just cost $500,000 for a swimming pool. Like that, they're going to be, when they start getting the regulation, they're going to go nuts. And when they start running into the bureaucracy and the red tape, they're going to start going nuts, and they're going to vote for Rick Caruso next time because they want to get, that's all Trump says, is we're going to pull back the regulations, we're going to free people up. They're going to find out, they're going to get bit by their own snake, they're going to convert. I am telling you, these are the bluest people on the planet, and they're going to be fucking ripshit pissed when the city and the Coastal Commission tell them to fuck off. And by the way, I don't think the Coastal Commission is going to okay anyone rebuilding any of their houses on the coast because they say they're in the business of protecting the coast. They're in the business of getting you to leave. They will get their wish, which is no buildings. And they're going to make it hard for everyone, and then we're going to have to restructure the whole thing because we can't have 9 angry lesbians controlling everything that goes on in Malibu, the Palisades, and Santa Monica. Now, it's a year ago, 0 building in Malibu. Mm-hmm. There's 0 construction in Malibu. You can drive up and down the coast all you want. You're not going to see one load of lumber.
Yeah, I just watched CBS Sunday Morning this past week, and they had a bit on the Palisades in Malibu, and they did a drone shot, and over it they were talking to the woman whose house is being built. And it looks, if you do a side-by-side from day after.
The house is being built in the Palisades.
In the Palisades, yes. Not Malibu, no. But if you do a side-by-side, you can definitely, it almost looks identical. Nothing has been done. The one house is being built where she was at, but other than that. And the other thing she said was, I know that this is going to happen again.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah. All right. So no one's got a permit. Everyone, I told you, no one's getting a permit.
Yeah.
They're not in the permit department. They're business.
The only thing that's different now, though, is that 28-year-old is now 29 and even bitchier.
That's right. She put on a few pounds and she's angrier. All right. Yes. Picture Lena Dunham. Kim Bright back on, founder, Bright Core Nutrition. She's let's see. As a we can call you a nutritionist, right?
Well, I've been helping people with their health for 50 years. So I didn't actually go and study nutrition in college because it didn't provide what I was searching for and looking for. It was very limited. So I don't like to use that name behind because I've studied so many different things. So I've been helping people get well and stay well for 50 years.
Yeah, before COVID, maybe I tended to listen to the experts and the people with all the degrees on the walls and all the heads of this group and that group. And after COVID, I'm now officially suspicious at anyone who went through the system, went through the training. And by the way, it's kind of back when Harvard meant Harvard. Like when I was young, if you went to Harvard, oh my goodness, you went to Harvard. Now I'm like literally suspicious that you've been compromised, I guess I would say. But Kim we were talking off the air about this discovery, this ice cave that's so old, 5,000-year-old. They found a bacteria that's resistant to modern antibiotics. And I'm interested in your take on this because I avoided antibiotics my whole life because I was poor and my family was poor and we didn't have insurance. And I never had insurance and I just rode stuff out. I'd get strep throat and I'd just ride it out. I'd get anything I got. I just rode it out and I never took antibiotics. And now I'm the only person I know who doesn't have a bunch of gut problems and a bunch of allergic to everything and skin things. Like everyone seems to have a whole bunch of things that I don't have. And the only thing I can think of is that I never took antibiotics. But let's talk about this ice cave.
Well, it's interesting because they found this bacteria there, and you're lucky. Thank goodness your family didn't have the money to do that, because you fought it off because you had good bacteria in your gut. But this cave, they found this bacteria that's 5,000 years old, and this particular strain resists all the commonly used antibiotics today. There's 10 of them that are being used to treat serious infections. So now they don't act against the serious infections. And this isn't the only thing that our current antibiotics aren't working on, Adam. I mean, there's something called antimicrobial resistance now, AMR, and they're calling this the next pandemic. With estimates ranging from 30 to 100 million deaths, they're saying, by 2050. Now, what happens is the antimicrobial resistance happens when germs like bacteria, viruses, fungi, and even parasites evolve to resist the medicines used to treat them, like this has done in this cave. But, let me read you some of the article titles. I study so many articles and research all day long, but I found this very interesting, these article titles that have come out just in the past week. This one's directly from the World Health Organization. And the next pandemic is already here. Antimicrobial resistance is upending centuries of achievements in global health. Hospital sewage fueling antibiotic-resistant bacteria. Superbug warning as doctors fear common infections could kill more people than cancer. And low-risk antibiotic has led to an almost unbeatable superbug. I mean, that's pretty crazy, right? I mean, infections are going to soon kill more people than cancer.
Well,
which would make it the second leading cause of death after heart disease then.
Look, all nature is doing is trying to exist, whether it's a cockroach being, they talk about pesticides. And they go, we got to kill these pests. But then future generations are not affected by the poison because they bred it out, and that's just nature. Cockroaches aren't good or bad. They're just nature being nature. And, nature's sort of like ivy. It just grows on the side of houses. And if you come back in a year, there'll be more of it. And you come back in 5 years, it's going to keep going. It just keeps going. So bacteria is trying to defeat whatever it's trying to exist, and whatever we throw at it, it'll continue to try to figure out, and it always wins. It's just kind of the slow game, it always figures out a way to outsmart us. And as Dr. Drew would always say, there's no free lunches in nature. It just keeps going. And I've been noticing that all our sort of Western attempts at putting everything in a syringe and synthesizing everything and manufacturing everything, it's just making people fatter, more miserable, and less healthy.
Well, when you put everything in a syringe, you're approaching the whole thing from symptoms rather than getting at the cause. I mean, there's this guy that his name was Chris Bond. Let me give you the example of this poor guy. He was just 19 when he had a severe infection that totally changed his life. This is how important that we get ourselves in good shape so we can fight infections. But he was 19 years old. He was fit and healthy. And then all of a sudden, Adam, out of the blue, he got sick and he had to go to the hospital. And they put him in an induced coma. And then he woke up to the devastating news that the antibiotics that they were using, it failed to stop his infection. And the doctors were forced to amputate both his legs, his left hand, and most of his fingers on his right hand. And, Chris, he's just one of a growing number of victims of this antimicrobial resistance. And doctors are basically running out of effective treatment options. And, it might sound strange to call him lucky, but I think he is actually lucky to have survived this. And he actually went on to become a Paralympic gold medalist. So,
oh, really?
That's great, right?
I wonder what event he did, because I just got done seeing the Olympics, and I see they're playing hockey in the Paralympics. They're doing the downhill skiing thing. If I was in the Paralympics, I'd definitely be in the winter. That one seems a lot better than trying to play beach volleyball with no legs. Oh, played wheelchair rugby. God, there was a really popular movie called like Smash Ball or something about guys who played wheelchair basketball or something, or who cares?
Let me tell you that the health experts, the so-called health experts, are predicting that by a certain time that we are going to have so many deaths from this antimicrobial resistance. It's unbelievable how much it's going to be. I mean, it's just unbelievable. By 2050, they're saying 10 million people are going to die every year from this antimicrobial resistance.
Well,
that's more deaths than cancer.
Are those who took the most antibiotics probably going to be the most susceptible to this?
Yes. And do you know in Australia, there's more people already dying, Adam, from the AMR than are in car accidents. I mean, they're slightly ahead of the curve, but the threat's growing rapidly worldwide.
What are some of the countries that, I mean, I'm guessing Western countries used antibiotics the most, and then certain other countries probably use them the least.
Your more developed countries, because they had the money for that. But they introduced antibiotics, I think, back in 1940s, and of course they were touted as miracle drugs back then because they were saving millions of lives. But their success, what had happened was they were using them widespread. And unnecessarily, they were used in both humans and agriculture. So they're actually reducing, because antibiotic means against life. So they kill off the good guys too. They kill the bad guys, but if you keep killing the good guys, you're going to end up with a very severely impaired immune system, because bacteria evolved so rapidly. And, the more antibiotics they're exposed to, the more opportunities they're going to have to develop the resistance we're talking about. And I think by 1960s, the resistant strains were already emerging. So over the decades, you can see how this is accelerated. And then, of course, you talk about the pharmaceutical companies, which the most important thing to pharmaceutical companies is not keeping us healthy. It's their bottom line. And so their incentives actually shifted because antibiotics, they're usually short course treatments. And they're intentionally supposed to be used sparingly to slow the resistance. And that's less profitability for long-term drugs for chronic conditions. So as a result, the pharmaceutical companies, they either reduced or abandoned their antibiotic research and development in favor of more profitable drug ventures like vaccines, because they're more profitable than the traditional antibiotics.
Well, I don't think there's any question that we figured out that the big pharma's in the business of making money the same way big tobacco was in the business of making money, and it behooved them to have their own scientific data on the effects of cigarette smoke, just like now big pharma has their data, because they're in the business of making money. So just a side question for someone who's been there and done that for you, not to do with antibiotics, but all of this weight loss stuff, all this Ozempic business, it worries me. And I don't know what you think about it. I would assume you're not for it, but I've heard good things about it as well. So I'm not sure. What is your take on the latest craze from the pharmaceutical companies?
Well, I think they stand to make a lot of money off of it, and I'm not for it, because you can lose weight by doing natural things. You don't have to use a drug that's going to alter the your gut in a way that is not good. And also, people are losing their eyesight. There's all kinds of side effects. The long list of side effects when you see a commercial on TV for any drug, right, Adam? I mean, some of them even cause death. I'm not saying Ozempic does that, but it's crazy. I mean, there's people out there that they want an immediate solution. I think in some cases, maybe, they were used for diabetics originally. But for the most part, I think it's just a fast fix for a lot of people. And I think they're going to be surprised in the end what's happened to their body.
Yeah, it falls under the heading of no free lunches. Like, sorry, It's diet, it's exercise, it's all the stuff your grandpa knew. And, the founding fathers knew, and it's a way of life. And the shot part to fool your body into thinking it's not hungry, it might work temporarily, but big picture, I don't think. Here's what I would say about most of this stuff, whether it was the COVID vaccination, whether it's antibiotics, or whether it's being on COVID. I don't think you'll be happy with that decision 10 years from now. I'll bet you wish you didn't.
Yeah, remember, Big Pharma is about making money, bottom line. The cured patient's no longer going to be a customer. They want to keep you sick. That's their intention. They keep making money off of you that way. And, there's even vaccinologists that are saying they want to solve the problem of AMR with yet another experimental mRNA vaccine. I don't want another mRNA vaccine. I don't think you do either, Adam. I mean, there's so much evidence coming out about the damaging effects of these vaccines. And what most people don't know is how many harmful effects antibiotics can have.
Oh, we're figuring it out now. But the stuff you got to keep an eye on, people, is the stuff that seems too good to be true. If it just, it's like when they go, oh, Weight Watchers has a dietetic fudge now that tastes just like regular. It's like, okay, it's too good. Don't buy it. Just don't eat fudge. And then when you do eat fudge, have good fudge, but don't do it that often. And then go for a walk afterward. And nature will take care of you.
Exactly.
Marty McCary. These guys all turned out to be correct all through COVID, even though they were being attacked, right?
Oh, yeah, they were all right. They were all correct.
But I know there's a clip of Marty McCary we wanted to look at.
The agency, and this is common of regulatory agencies, tend to fall behind and not be able to keep up with the times.
I agree. We talked
about
that.
The microbiome is the biggest frontier of medicine that we are not talking about, that we need to talk about. We know things mess up the microbiome and directly result in diseases. One of the biggest studies in modern medicine that has been ignored, and I think one of the most important studies, has been a recent study out of the Mayo Clinic that looked at kids who got antibiotics in the first 2 years of life and then tracked them as to what diseases they developed later. Now, why would antibiotics potentially cause disease? Well, the theory is that we know antibiotics alter the microbiome. It's almost like carpet bombing parts of the microbiome.
Yeah.
And you get bacterial overgrowth. We don't know what to do with it. We know overgrowth is associated with inflammation. And so I just wrote down some of these study results. The kids that got antibiotics in the first 2 years of life, 20% higher rate of obesity, 21% higher rate of learning disabilities, 32% higher risk of developing attention deficit disorder, 90% higher rate of asthma,
90% higher rates of asthma in kids that were given multiple antibiotic dosages.
Any antibiotic exposure in the first 2 years of life. And there was what we call a dose-dependent relationship. The more courses of antibiotics a kid got, the greater the risk of obesity, learning disabilities, ADHD, asthma. Celiac had a nearly 300% higher risk if a kid took antibiotics.
Wow.
Crohn's disease, nearly a 300. All these diseases are going up.
Yeah.
If you just use your kind of horse sense, old-fashioned mind, you'll get to a lot of answers, which is, I have said repeatedly, how come Crohn's disease didn't exist when I was younger? How come no one was allergic to peanut butter? How come no one was allergic to wheat? No one was allergic. First off, when I grew up, nobody was allergic to anything. It was very rare. There was a couple, maybe a couple of hay fever nerds or something around, but I never knew. I hung out. All I did was hang out with other kids. That's all I did. As my whole childhood was just me and a whole group of neighborhood guys, and everyone ran around. There was no dietary restrictions. There's no allergies. There was nothing. And Crohn's didn't exist, and neither did all this other hyper deficit disorder and all these disorders. I sit around and see commercials for fixing everyone's stomach. Everyone's got Crohn's. Everyone's got some reflux. Everyone has everything. And I'm like, How's it possible that none of this existed and now it all existed? And don't tell me this is how we evolved. There's some corollary. Something caused this, and I think we're finding out what it is.
Yeah, and let me just read you a few of the endless amounts of study titles that measure the damage of antibiotics. You heard Dr. Marty McCary there. I mean, I found this amazing, and this is only a few of what I found, but antibiotic therapy is associated with an increased incidence of cancer. Antibiotic use associated with a multitude of chronic diseases. Higher antibiotic exposure is linked to increased risk of Parkinson's disease. We know that's on a huge rise. Antibiotic exposure linked to increased colon cancer. Antibiotic use and risk of cause-specific mortality. Antibiotics can cause harm to flu patients. Antibiotics in childhood have been linked to increased risk of mental illness. Antibiotics after breast cancer linked to lower survival rates. Antibiotics in older women may increase heart disease risk, and antibiotic use linked to greater risk of heart disease and stroke. That's just a few of the list that I compiled from the use of antibiotics.
Yeah,
and goes on and on. What all these studies though have in common, Adam, is the damage to the gut microbiome.
Yeah,
our gut microbiomes directly linked to our longevity, our healthy aging, and the risk of chronic disease.
Yeah, it's just the amount of people I see now who explain to me what they can't eat versus those people when I was a kid, non-existent. Then no one. You go to a restaurant with 3 or 4 people, there's going to be 3 or 4 people telling you what they can't eat when the waitress is coming by.
I know it's upsetting.
Yeah, I agree.
Upsetting.
I'm also.
I don't like to go out with people for that reason. I mean, I like to cook at my house, my organic and everything I make. But I had this story that I just read about a woman named Maria Morea, and she lived to be 117 years old. She was born in 1907. She lived through 2 world wars, the Spanish Civil War, and the rise of the internet. And when she passed away in 2024 at 117, she was the world's oldest verified living person, Adam. I don't think she was, having these problems that we're all talking about right now. But obviously, her life wasn't easy. As a child, she crossed the Atlantic during wartime. She lost hearing in one of her ears after a fall. She lost her father to tuberculosis. And then she later married, raised 3 children, worked as a nurse during the Spanish Civil War. And of course, through all this, she's experienced a tremendous amount of grief and stress and history firsthand, but yet she still stayed engaged with life. And she actually played the piano until she was 108, and she adapted to the new technology despite her hearing loss. But after her death, this gets very interesting here, researchers decided to examine her gut microbiome. And remarkably, it looked unusually youthful. It was balanced, it was resilient, and it was rich in microbial diversity. And of course, she ate a very healthy diet and regularly consumed fermented foods, nothing complicated, but she had these steady habits over decades. And then, when scientists look at other centenarians, the people that live to be over 100, they found a similar pattern. They found greater microbial diversity and more balanced gut ecosystems. And that diversity is linked to better immune function, metabolic health, and even brain support. So, Maria's story suggests something very powerful here, that aging may not just be about genes or that you're lucky, but it's actually protecting the ecosystem that's inside of us all.
I also think, and this kind of dovetails into this, I think we're way too clean now. I think we're sterilizing everything and wiping everything down with Purell.
That kills all the good guys,
and just everything is about wiping everything down with alcohol and cleaning everything to the point where there's no exposure. There's nothing for your immune system to work out against, push on. They always do those studies of the Amish people who have the outdoor dogs who come indoors and out. Those kids have no allergies. The ones that live in the Manhattan apartments with the windows closed all day have all the allergies. So, But the moral of the story is you need to kind of expose yourself to stuff and not try to kill every germ that's either on a counter or in your gut. I can't remember. I think I was watching Ron Johnson, maybe Senator Ron Johnson, I think. I'm bringing this up to you, Andrew. He did a whole thing of having to take Pepcid and all this stuff with acid reflux or whatever. And it's the same thing. You get sort of perpetually married to these pills that you have to take before every dinner, and eventually it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And he ended up curing it through some old-fashioned measure, but it's basically you have to take this pill because you have acid reflux, and at a certain point you have acid reflux because of the pill, and next thing you know, they've sold you $1 million worth of pills and you're on it your entire life. So
that's right.
We talk,
and longevity too isn't just about adding years. It's maintaining the quality of those years through a diverse, resilient gut. That's the strongest indicator of how well you're truly aging. And if you've got to take that kind of stuff, your gut is not in balance. It has dysbiosis. It's got more bad guys than good guys because your gut, Adam's made up of microbes, both good and bad from the time you're born. And this collection of the microbes collectively make up the gut microbiome. And when you take antibiotics or you take all those things you just mentioned, you're killing off all the good microbes, and you're creating a state of dysbiosis in your gut. And dysbiosis is the cause of every health issue, and the microbial diversity will automatically decrease as we age, regardless of antibiotic use or other influences. But the presence of the good bacteria in our gut is what helps prevent harmful microbials from taking over. And the best way to prevent and treat that dysbiosis and the multitude of accompanying health consequences is actually to consume a centuries-old food called kimchi, because it's the only fermented food that contains over 900 unique strains of beneficial bacteria.
Yep. Well, I took mine this morning. It's, cooking up kimchi or heating up kimchi. It's, if you live in a small apartment, it can fill the air with the scent. It's an acquired taste for most folk, but in the pill form, it's pretty easy. I just take them with whatever other vitamins I'm taking that morning. Oh, by the way, Senator Ron Johnson reveals he cured his acid reflux by hydrochloric acid after years of Zantac, Prilosec, and Nexium. Yeah, well, this grandpa knew right. Grandma, they knew what they were doing.
That's right. And too, I wanted to say that kimchi helps your body fight off viruses like the flu. So you don't need flu shots like that. One recent study found that it could actually slow down the growth of the H1N1 flu virus. And a big reason for that is because it supports your immune system. 70 to 80% of our immunity is housed in our gut. And, kimchi, got to think of it. It helps your immune system stays balanced, and it strengthens your important immune cells that kind of act like scouts, where they go out and they spot the viruses early at them. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, it's going to regulate your body's response so it doesn't overreact and create all of this incredible amount of inflammation that it doesn't need because of some serious infection. It's not just the virus that causes the damage. It's the body going into the overdrive with too much inflammation. And kimchi's actually been shown to significantly reduce that inflammation and oxidative stress.
Well, I think last time I talked to you, we were talking about RFK Jr., talking about how much he loved the kimchi and the fermented stuff. Let me ask you a question, may not be answerable. Kimchi is sort of the gold standard for the fermented stuff, but there's like sauerkraut. I love sauerkraut. It's interesting. You can't find sauerkraut at a restaurant anywhere in LA. And really, LA has 5,000 Indian restaurants and 5,000 sushi places, but no German or Hungarian places. Well, that's a battle for a different day. But in the fermented department, kimchi is sort of the heavyweight champ. How far down is like
the king?
Where's sauerkraut and where like pickles or something? Like is kimchi twice as good as sauerkraut or 10 times as good as sauerkraut?
Oh, no. Guess this, 900 plus beneficial bacterial strains in kimchi and 28 strains of beneficial bacteria in sauerkraut.
Oh, really?
Eat your sauerkraut if you like it, but you're only getting 28 strains. So There's your answer. And, during the early days of COVID-19, Adam, South Korea had a much lower death rate compared to any other country. And that's where kimchi started. And I know researchers have pointed out that Korea's high daily intake of kimchi, because they eat it every day, some of them even eat it at every meal, that it played a role in that. And it's so packed with bioactive compounds and probiotics that make it harder for viruses to even enter into our cells. And even back in 2003, I think, when the SARS outbreak happened, South Korea reported 0 deaths. And there were so many deaths all over the world from that. And again, researchers are looking at kimchi's antiviral and probiotic properties as the determining factor. So, kimchi's got powerful, what they call antifungal properties. And that's because it's rich in the beneficial bacteria like Lactobacillus plantarum and Lactobacillus sakei. And as kimchi ferments, these bacteria naturally are producing compounds that make it really hard for molds and yeast and parasites to grow. And in lab studies, certain strains found in kimchi have reduced the growth of harmful molds, and something like Aspergillus. Now get this, by up to 97%. That's amazing. And then they basically create an acidic, unfriendly environment for the pathogens to grow in. So kimchi is so amazing with those 900 plus beneficial bacteria. It goes far beyond any other fermented food out there, but all fermented foods are good to eat, keep your body healthier. But you want the king of foods when you're really trying to deal with these heavy-duty pathogens, especially if you've been on a lot of antibiotics.
Yeah, well, most people, I would say, growing up in the United States, probably anyone listening under the age of 50, maybe under the age of 40, certainly under the age of 30, has just showered their gut with antibiotics all through your life. And so we're going to have to try to right that ship. And like I said, you can buy kimchi, but it can be a little bit tough to do up in the pan. And sometimes getting your kids to eat it, for instance, might be difficult. But the pill form works pretty well. And like I said, you can tell there's kimchi in it for just a second before it goes down. But I will say this. I do take the product, and I do not belch it up or burp it up or have that. Sometimes when you take a fish oil and you go about your day and at some point you hiccup later in the day, it tastes like someone put a cod in your mouth or something like that. Well, it does. I mean, that's what certain vitamins do. But Kimchi One does not have that. I take it every morning, and I never. It's potent, but I cannot feel the effects of it. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know it. Burping up or later on the toilet. Like, it doesn't have any. It doesn't come with that baggage, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And, in simple terms, the kimchi helps crowd your body, crowds out the fungus and the bacteria and even parasites, while it strengthens your natural defenses. So it's great that it doesn't come back up on you. And, everything that has been mentioned about the harmful effects of antibiotics also can, it can change when you put the right strains in, like in kimchi. And it's the prime cornerstone of your overall health is your gut microbiome. So you definitely want to, encourage that by taking it every day. And if you don't want to eat it, then the way to take it is, take it as Kimchi One. But, I want to also say something about, there are a lot of people that think they're going to fix their gut with just taking the probiotic supplements that are out there that have, maybe 1 or 2 strains, but they're showing that they have this huge amount of CFUs out there. And they're usually, most of them are one-note solutions, whereas kimchi, if you can think of it like this, it provides a complex microbial symphony, if you will. It's wrapped in a protective fiber delivery system, and it ensures the good guys are actually going to get down into your gut alive. And, it's really a full ecosystem package. And along with the live microbes, it's naturally bringing prebiotics, which is the fiber, the plant fibers that are in the compounds of the cabbage, garlic, and onions. And they're going to feed that beneficial bacteria because that's what they need to eat to live. And then the postbiotics are the helpful compounds that the bacteria actually produce during fermentation. And so that combination matters because the probiotics, they really do struggle to colonize or even survive in your gut if your gut's not supporting them. So kimchi helps create that supportive environment and delivers the ready-made microbial byproducts that can interact with your gut lining and immune system right away. So, in practice, that means kimchi can offer more reliable multi-pathway benefits than a typical probiotic pill. So that's another good point.
Let's give you a plug then. Let's figure out, let's tell everyone how to get Kimchi One and set them up.
Well, because we made Kimchi One because there's so many beneficial effects, like you've heard of all these things. I mean, and again, people, whether they like it or not, it's hard for them to take it every day. So we made it in capsules using a cold process drying method to retain all the live probiotics, enzymes, and the fiber of the fresh kimchi. Also, people that are on sodium restricted diets, this is great for them because unlike store-bought or homemade, this is very low in sodium, 100% made in the United States, non-GMO and all natural. So if you've had problems with your digestion, irregularity, immune system, we have people writing us telling us they don't get sick anymore, their gas and bloating's gone, they're regular, people who couldn't lose weight, their waistlines have changed, suffering from a variety of symptoms since especially 2020. They couldn't identify the cause. Those things are all gone now using Kimchi One. So the special that we can offer for your viewers today is they can get 25% off their order of kimchi by going to brightcore.com/Adam and use the code Adam, or you can get up to 50% off with your order and free shipping when you call 888-418-0915. And, I started this company 29 years ago. It's a small family-owned business. So we're not a fly-by-night. We've been here for a long time. And we love having people call in so we can talk to you, answer your questions, and make sure that this product's right for you. And so we're going to incentivize you even further to call by giving the first 100 callers a free bottle of our Thrive with their order. And our Thrive is a curcumin turmeric complex that we combine with ginger and black pepper extract. And that helps combat inflammation, boosts brain function, and even promotes good liver health. So you want the best discounts and you want that free bottle of Thrive, then you need to call 888-418-0915. Adam?
Thanks, Kim. I take it every day. So far, so good. Not
good.
As much as the sniffles. Kim Bright, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate you.
Thank you.